Well, welcome, guys. My name is Jeremy Molley. I'm the owner of Active Martial Arts in Louisiana. I see we got a lot of students out there. I saw Mr. Petit. I see Chance right there. Awesome. We've got people from around the world that are checking this out. You guys are super lucky to have Mr. Spycar as an instructor, by the way, if he's your instructor. He's a really good guy. There might be some people from Karate America that are here. So if you're here, the whole Karate America family, we welcome you guys as well. So awesome. Just a little bit about myself, because we're not here to talk about me. We're here to learn about the sword. But I've been doing martial arts since I was 12 years old. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am now, but it's well over 20 years. And I've been training. I've been fortunate enough to train around the world. I've traveled to Korea to learn the Korean sword. I've been to Japan. I've trained with some of the best swords masters. I'm certified to teach the Japanese longsword as well as the Korean longsword, which they're different, but we don't have enough time in 30 minutes to go through that. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to smile. We're going to be, you're going to laugh. You're going to probably hit yourself a few times with the stick or the pool noodle, whatever you got. I'm going to challenge you. This is not an advanced seminar. This is not a beginner seminar. This is kind of like, we're going to throw a little bit of everything. There may be some things in here that I do and you're like, I can't do that. We always say, yes, I can, first of all. But two, it's okay. We don't expect you to master it. Things aren't mastered. It took me 20 plus years to learn this. It isn't going to take you 30 minutes to master it, okay? So do your best. Have fun. If you hit yourself, just laugh about it. If you hit some furniture, mom's not going to laugh about it. So let's make sure you got plenty of room around you right now. That's our first step. Safety is number one. Make sure when you take your sword out and swing it around, you're not going to hit anything. I had to move the chandelier in my house to do this. So whatever you got to do, make it happen. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. That's a yes, sir. A thumbs up today. Awesome. Okay, well, let's have some fun, guys. Without further ado, I want to thank you guys for letting me teach this seminar. I'm going to use my practice sword because I don't want to hit anything either. I got a lot of expensive equipment right here. We're going to get warmed up. So we're going to warm up our wrists first. I want you to take your sword and we're going to roll it like this. This is called the wrist roll. I'm doing this forwards. So we're loosening up our grip and just letting it rotate. So we're going forwards with this. All right. Nice. Switch hands. We do the other hand. Wrist roll. I'll go slow motion. And then wrist roll again. If you're struggling with the concept of rolling your wrist, what you're going to do is you're going to bring it like an inner forearm block, like you're doing a block like this, and then loosen it, and you're just pinching it with your thumb and your finger, and then whipping it around back to the grip. Okay, now let's go backwards. Backwards rolls, the opposite direction. Swinging them back. Switch hands. Going backwards. Exact same motion, just the other direction. All right, wrists are getting warm now. The next one, we're going to turn this into a figure eight. So let's start forward. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting an X here and then here. So take them, bring them up to your shoulder, cut across. Bring them up to that same shoulder, cut across. Make that motion happen smaller and smaller until it is just happening with your wrist and not your whole body anymore. I'll turn sideways. It looks like this. Cutting a figure eight. All right, if you've done this before, now let's go backwards. Backwards figure eight, same thing, other direction. Like I said, this may be a challenge. You may be smacking yourself in the face right now. That's okay. We're warming up. All right, switch hands. Seamlessly switching from one hand to the other. If you're advanced, switch. We're alternating hands now. All right. Okay, next we're going to do some catches. So catch and release. So you're going to take your sword. We're going to start real simple. Whatever you have, I want you to take it, toss it up, and then catch it. I'm trying to do this while I'm looking at you, but you're catching here, handle to blade, blade to handle, just like this, starting real simple. Toss it up, catch, toss it up, catch. Switch hands. Oh, look at that. I'm trying to look at you and not my sword. Switch hands as you do it. Blade to handle. Anybody dropping it yet? I'm not even looking. All right, now we're going to make it a double. We're going to go from handle to handle. So you flip it twice. I'm going to back up so you can see. So I flip it twice, 1, 2, and then catch. Blade is not touched. And then you can alternate hands, switching hands as we go. Let me check you guys out. Let's see where we're at. Getting loose. Yeah, you dropping that sword? I bet. It's all right. It's part of the practice. Okay, next one, double flip. You're going to flip it 2 times, twice in the air. It's not about how high you go, guys. This is never even really leaving head height. It just has to be fast. Like, Try that again. Flip it twice. Woo. Flip it twice. 1, 2, catch. All right, give it a shot. That's your challenge for today. Don't break anything in your house. It doesn't need to go high. It just needs to be quick. Awesome. All right, one more. Behind the back. This is our last catch for the warm-up. You're going to take your sword. You're going to toss it up. It's going to be like a full flip where you're going to catch the handle, but you're going to put your hand behind your back and catch. So flip, catch behind the back. I'll show it from this angle too. I'm going to have the sword. Give it a shot. Flip in front, out to the side, catch behind the back. Let me check you guys out. Who's got it? Give me a thumbs up if you nailed it. Yeah, Mr. Moss got it. Nicholas has got it. Nice thumbs up. Dawson got a thumbs down. You know what that means? Keep practicing, Dawson. Keep it up. Can you guys see me right now? Thumbs up if you can see me. Okay, just making sure. Awesome. 10 seconds left on that. Behind the back. Woo! That's 3 in a row. All right, time. Okay, let's get warmed up a little more. Okay, I want you to take your sword. I want you to use it. We're going to do 10 push-ups. 10 push-ups with your sword. Go. Check you guys out. Getting those arms warmed up. Looking good, Jaden. All right, I'm glad you guys put your names in here. You guys are pros. You must be coming to class. Hey, Ethan Gravel, I see you over there. All right. All right, next one, sit-ups. Same thing, 10 sit-ups. You're going to come up, use your sword, touch. Touch your shins or your feet with your sword. 10 sit-ups, go. We got to move. We got to get that heart rate up. Looking good, Emma. I like that kick bag you got over there, Emma. You're ready to go. We might use that thing when we do some of the strikes. If you have a kick bag at home, you're welcome to use it for the strikes. Awesome. All right, guys. Next one. 10 squats. Put it behind your head like you're on your back, like you're holding a squat rack. 10 squats. Go. And then we're going to be warmed up. Welcome, Sean. I see you over there, Sean McEwen. All right, that should be coming up to 10. Awesome. Okay, we're good to go. Bounce around a little bit like this. Get hyped like you're in a music video. All right, we're ready to go. First thing we're talking about is how to hold the sword. I'm going to get up close, all right? So when you grip the sword, your right hand, if you're right-handed, is going to be gripping towards the top. You want to have a space where you could fit a ping pong ball in between what's called the suba, that's this part of the sword, and your grip. If you don't have that, just use your imagination. This is the hand that does all the work. This one is the hand that pulls, okay? So it's a push-pull motion like this. We don't chop. What if you got the butter knife out or a sharp knife out and you started to go put the butter in the toast and you just went, okay? The toast would be destroyed. Don't do that, okay? The knife is not made to smash things like a bat. It's made to cut and slice. So as we do a cut, we're going up and down and we're pushing with this hand and pulling with this hand and it's slicing through like this, okay? It's a slicing motion. So I want you to take your sword. We're going to start with a very basic cut. Bring it up over your head. Guess what? Every cut starts off just like this. Whether you're going to cut to the side, angle, left, right, up, down, any cut is going to start in this position. Tell me right now, how long is the blade of this sword? Can you tell? You cannot. You can't. You wouldn't know if you hadn't seen it before. That's why the sword is held like this. You have no idea the length of this blade and how far you need to be away from it until it's too late. So when we hold, we don't hold it straight up like this. We hold it at an angle like this, okay? That 45. So let's bring the sword up and we're going to do a straight down cut. And I'm going to turn sideways. Make sure you're pushing and pulling and whipping the sword when you cut, just like this. We don't want to hit the ground. That's how you cut your toes off, and that's how you get killed by the counter strike. Sword does not go any further than it needs to go. If you're cutting anybody past their groin, they're dead already. The sword doesn't need to go any further. Stop it there. Whip. Okay, now let's make it a 45. So you're going to come up. We're going to do a 45 cut. We're not going to go past their waist. You see how I'm just right outside? This is too far. I don't want to engage my hips in this or shoulder. You don't need to. This is a killing machine. This sword is razor sharp. If you raise it over your head and you let it fall on somebody, it will slice them in half, okay? Consider that. So you don't need much force. It's about finesse. push, pull, whip the sword through, left, right. All right, now we're going to do a side cut, sideways, up, 45 position, always the same chamber, cut, up, cut. Remember, it's pushing and pulling as you cut. Basic cuts. All right, we come from bottom. I take the sword, I invert it, put it here, and then cut up. Same motion, push, pull, inverted cut. Coming from the outside. Looks just like a figure eight, doesn't it? So to one side, up. To one side, up. Excellent. Now remember, the samurai named their swords. Like they felt like the swords had a spirit. They treated this thing with more respect than anything you can imagine in this day and age. So they did not want to have their sword hit the ground. They didn't want to drop their sword. They didn't want to break their sword. They treated it like as if it's an extension of themselves and another person, okay? Now, we're going to talk about blocking briefly with the sword. When we go to block, we're going to turn the blade in like this. So I'm rotating. Now, you might have a stick or a pool noodle, but you need to imagine that it has a blade. Okay, if you hit somebody with the side of the sword, the back of the sword, it does not kill them. It's going to kill you. So rotate the blade, left and right blocks. Really simple like that. Now, we don't get in long Taekwondo front stances when we practice with the sword. That's how you get your feet cut off, and you can't move like that. Sword fighting, everything happens very close. Natural walking stances like this. You ever seen, I'm not wearing a skirt, but have you ever seen them wear the skirt when they do the sword? You know why they do that? To hide their feet, so you can't see what their footwork is, okay? That's why they did that. So simple footwork with this. We're gonna go side to side. Now we're gonna do an inverted low block. We rotate like this, invert, invert. This would be a good example of how to counter upward strike from there. We block with the rotation and then we can come back. We have a high block at an angle where whatever hits us goes to the side. Whatever hits us on this side goes to the side. Inverted and regular. High blocks like so. Your handle needs to be higher than your blade. Just like that, 45. Looking good. Looking good. All right, I want you to practice all your blocks. Throw a strike in there. Maybe block, counter, 45 strike. That's the most popular combination because they aim for your head. Block, counter strike. Block, counter strike. Practice for 30 seconds. Go. Let me check you out. Nice figure eight, Oliver. Nice cuts. I think that's Owen. Good job. Jonah, that pool noodle looks like a lightsaber, dude. You're right out of Star Wars. Awesome. Looking good, Ethan. 5 seconds left. Nice, Christian. The dragon. And time. Okay, time to learn a trick. All right, so here's what we're going to do. This is called The Matrix. Anybody seen the movie The Matrix? Yeah, it's kind of old and it's not for kids. All right, okay. Don't worry about it. Then you'll be really shocked when you see this. So this is the move we're going to do. You're going to take the sword. Simple. So I'm going to lean back like this. I'm going to lean back. I'm going to take the sword and I'm going to do a wrist roll in front of my face without hitting yourself in the face now. Like so. Okay? And then bring it back. So I go like so. The closer you get to the face, the cooler it looks, but the more dangerous it is. So don't hit yourself in the face, especially if you got a wooden practice sword or something like that. So keep it close and back. That's the first move. We're going to call that the Matrix. Let me check you out. Nice, Mr. Moss. I wish I could work the camera, but I don't have my assistant today. My assistant is babysitting my kids. So looking good, guys. All right, let's add a move to that. This is called the spinning strike. I'm going to take the sword. Anytime I'm going to spin, the sword is going to come up behind my back like this, okay? That's to protect my back because as I'm spinning, the first step I have to do is I have to turn my back to you, which means I could get hit by a sword. So it stays there, and then I come around, then I do my strike, okay? So we're going to do the spinning strike by itself. So bring the sword up, first step. This happens simultaneously, but we're going to do it one step at a time. Up, spin around, and strike. Can be a 45-degree cut. All right. Again, now this time we're gonna do it together. Start spinning, bring the sword up, cut. Again, I'm gonna face away from you so you can do it with me if you want. I'm gonna turn my back, spin around, and then cut. All right, practice that for 10 seconds. Go. Spinning strike. Looking good, Mr. Petit. Let me go to the next page. Nice, Emma. Very good. Page 2 here. Looking good, Brandon. Very good. Sarah and Addison. I don't know which is which. Nice, Nicholas. All right, time. We're going to combine the matrix with the spinning strike. So check it out. So I'm going to do the matrix first, then spin and strike. I did it fast. I'll do it slow. So you matrix, bring your sword up, 360 footwork around, and strike. Give it a shot. Matrix, spinning strike. Don't hit the ceiling there. Good job. Check you guys out. Matrix, spinning strike. Nice job, Jonah. Let me give you 10 seconds left here for that. I go back so I can see everybody. Good spin, Evan. You froze up there, KJ. I can't see you. 5 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Awesome. Now that you're dizzy and you got some things to practice, we're going to practice. We've already started with the sword out. But there's 3 parts of the really in combat with the sword. The first part is you don't walk around with your sword drawn out. You look like a freak, first of all, in real life. But 2, the samurai always had their swords sheathed and put away. So when something would happen, they would have to draw their sword. And the speed at which they draw their sword was incredibly important. It meant life or death. Okay, it was the difference between living and dying. So there's an entire martial art called Aikido, which is basically the art of drawing the sword. That's it. It doesn't have anything to do with after the sword. It's how to draw your sword and make your first cut. Because a lot of times that's all it took is one cut and they were dead or you were dead. So let's practice a little bit of that. So what I want you to do is you don't need a real sword to put in a sheath. You can just take your sword and put it in your hand like this on the left side. It's going to be the left side of your body. Samurai always wore on the left side because the emperor would sit on the left side also. So if the emperor sat here, they could kill the emperor and assassinate him. So the emperor would always sit here where they have to turn to draw their sword. Little history for you. But anyway, start with your sword like this. Thumb on the imaginary Suba. I'm going to use a real sword for this because I think it's important to demonstrate it properly. So what I want you to do is I want you to get in a kneeling position. Sitting flat on your feet. You can't see my toes, but they are back flat like this. If you were the bodyguard for the emperor, you had to have your feet flat like this because the first thing you would need to do to make a cut would be to raise your feet up like this. This is considered aggressive. This is considered passive. So when you sat like this, you weren't necessarily ready to strike or do anything. So we're going to sit now, toes up like this. You're going to see how much faster you're going to move with this. So the first thing we're going to do is how to draw the sword. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my sword in towards me. You can see that. I'll get closer in case you're on an iPad or something. The sword is going to turn in like this. I'm going to bring the sword to my hand. It's a lot faster. If I do this, everybody sees that coming, and I got my hand cut off, my wrist, at the wrist. That's faster. I also push the sword out as I do it. So at the same time, I'm bringing the sword to my hand, and I'm drawing the sword. I didn't want to cut my monitor in half just now. Yes, this is a real sword. It's not sharp, though. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to bring the sword to your hand, like throw it out, right? When you draw, that first cut is going to come across the eyes like this, straight across. So do just the first cut. I'm going to use the practice sword again in a second. First cut, completely relax. The speed comes from focus and relaxation, not from physically doing something fast. It comes from being completely relaxed. I'm standing right now, but you can do it from kneeling. Look like this. As I draw and step and cut. Practice for a second. Being completely relaxed and calm. Breathe and draw and cut when you're ready. As quick as you can. Give it a shot. I want to check you out. Nice, Mr. McEwen. Cut across the eyes. Good. Breathe. Bring that sword to your hand. Don't reach across. First motion, you come up to 1 foot. If you're standing, it's the same thing, except you step forward with it. 10 seconds left. Draw and cut. Completely relaxed. Hands at your side. All right, time. Now that you've made a cut, how do you put your sword away? I'm going to teach you, okay? First of all, when you have blood on your sword, because yes, you just killed someone or made a cut, there's going to be blood and body parts on the sword material. You do not want to put that back in the case, okay? So the first thing we do is we take our sword and we shake the blood off. And this is how you do it. You bring it up like you're doing an inner forearm block or an inside block, and then you rotate it like you're doing a low block. So I'm shaking violently, whipping the blood off of the blade, like so. All right, let me see you do that here and there. So after you're cut, shake the blood. Try that. We're going to talk about how to sheath the sword properly in just a second, but cut, shake the blood. I forgot what the word for get the blood off your sword is in Japanese, but we'll use the English word. Get the blood off your sword. It's not good. All right, how to put the sword away now. Okay, so check this out. If I just made a cut and it's time to put my sword away, I shake the blood off. You better believe I'm looking around 360. Any weapons training you've ever done with a firearm or anything, they teach you to be looking around constantly. If I look at the case of the sword and try and put this in here, I could be dead. So eyes are always forward as you do this. Now, how do you do that without feeling it? I'm going to grab the practice sword to show you because it'll make more sense for you. I want you to take your hand. This is where the case is, right? That holds the sword, the scabbard. You're going to take the back of the sword and you're going to put it like this on your hand. And you're going to feel it on this part of your hand right here. You're going to feel the sword run across that like this. And as it reaches the end, you're going to put it back in. This is happening on your belt. So I bring it across, feel it, and put it back in. It's all about feel. Eyes forward, don't look down. Draw a cut, shake the blood, back of the sword against it, and sheath it. I want you to do that whole section. Cut, shake the blood, put the back of the sword on, and sheath it again. I want you to practice that. There's people who practice that, just that part, for years and years. Let me check you guys out for the next minute here. We got about 5 minutes left. And we still got something to do. That was good, Nicholas. Good, Sarah. Make your cut and then put your sword up. Awesome. Cool. All right. Time. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a story about a samurai. First of all, personal power. Does anybody know what that means? A lot of people use that phrase. Anybody know? Anybody want to take a guess? What does it mean to have personal power? Let me see if I can get the chat pulled up. You know, we may not have enough time, but I'm going to tell you all the greatest warriors had it, okay? It's not some kind of strength or skill. It's not some physical strength or some technical skill you have, okay? You don't need that. Personal power is freeing yourself from the fear of failure, from the fear of death, from the fear that you might look silly, okay? When you can do that, you have power. There's a lot of power in that. I'm going to tell you about a samurai. It's called a Ronin. It was a samurai who was a warrior who was very good at using the sword in ancient Japan. And a Ronin was basically a samurai that didn't have a master. He didn't have, an emperor that he was protecting or a body, something like that. He was just kind of free and he would wander around the country. The word actually meant Ronin meant like wave. So he just kind of like wandered around the country, did his thing. Well, one day a Ronin was walking through a village and he turned and the side of his sword bumped into a Japanese tea master. Now, what is a tea master? Drinking tea was a big deal in Japan. It was a whole entire art. People devoted their whole lives to that, like serving it, mixing it, like the way they did it. It was a whole art. So the swordsman the Ronin bumps into the tea master. And the tea master's kind of shocked. And the swordsman says, okay, you just bumped into my sword. That's an incredible insult. You never touch a samurai's sword. I'm going to have to kill you. And the tea master's like, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bump, even though he didn't even bump into it. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm clumsy and I'm not a warrior. I don't even have a sword. I mean, I'm so sorry. And the samurai's like, well, you better go get a sword. Meet me tomorrow right here on the street at noon. And so you can die like a man. And if you don't come, I'm going to find you and I'm going to hunt you down. I'm going to kill you where you are like a dog. And the Ronin just walks away. The tea master is standing there like, oh my God, he's petrified. He's full of fear. He has no idea what he's going to do. So he starts thinking, and he's like, well, there's a famous swordsman who lives in our town. I'm going to go hire him and pay him to protect me. So he goes to the famous swordsman, and the swordsman's like, no, I'm retired. I'm not fighting your fight for you. That's your battle. You're going to have to fight it. And he's like, I don't even have a sword. He's like, well, go buy one. And the samurai, the tea master is like, I don't even know how to use it. Can you teach me? Can you at least teach me how to use the sword? And the swords master says, I don't teach commoners. I'm sorry. I only teach warriors. And I'm retired. But, besides, what are you going to learn in a couple of hours from me? And the tea master says, what do I have to lose? Swords master's like, I guess so. He realizes he's an innocent guy. He's a commoner. He's going to die anyway. So let me do my best to help this guy. So he says, all right, let's train this afternoon. So the tea master comes to the swords teacher's house, and they start making practice cuts, and he's practicing. They're really awkward. It's not going very well. Hours into the training, the swords master says, you know what? You're going to die tomorrow. And the tea master drops his sword, just, slumps. You can see him slumping, and he's just got defeat all over his face. And the swordsman sees this, and he feels bad for him. He says, let's go sit under the tree. Let's take a break. Maybe you can make some tea for me. So they sit under the tree, and the tea master pulls out hot water and his whole tea kit. He's got a tray and everything, and he just starts making tea. And the sword master is watching this, and he's like, this guy is incredible. Look, what happened to that broken man that I just saw? Now his shoulders are up. He's confident. You can see he has nothing in his eyes, and his mind is just empty. He's just completely what we call in the zone or in flow, right? Or mushin is what the samurai called it, which meant no mind. He was just doing his thing. And the samurai watched this, and the swordsman said, stop. He said, stop. He said, do you want to kill your enemy tomorrow? And the tea master said, you said I couldn't. You said I'm going to die tomorrow. He's like, yes, you are going to die tomorrow. But do you want to kill your enemy? Do you want to die like a warrior? And the tea master said, yes, very calm. And he said, then you need to do what you're doing right now. And the tea master's like, I'm not doing anything right now. And the swordsman says, exactly. You're doing nothing. You're not afraid. You're not desiring to live. You're not fearing death. You have nothing on your mind right now but the present. He said, that's what you need to do. Tomorrow at noon, when you go out to fight this guy, I want you to raise your sword above your head, and I want you to think about nothing. Get in the zone and just make your cut and kill him. So the tea master, being a master, understood what that meant, and he nodded. The training was done. The next day, he's walking in the village, the Ronin, the bad guy who challenged the tea master, and he sees in the distance the tea master waiting for him in the street. The Ronin said, all right. So he walks up, and as he starts to get closer, he starts to feel uneasy. Something's not right. He can't put his fingers on it. He can't describe it, but something just made him feel uneasy. His heart skipped a beat. And when he got closer, he expected to see this weak man shaking and trembling in fear, but instead he sees somebody standing with a sword over his head, not shaking, no fear at all. And he gets a couple steps to the tea master where he can see, and he's searching the man's eyes, looking to see what he can see. And there's nothing there, nothing but death. The Ronin looked at him, his mouth got dry, and he said, I can't defeat you. And he turned and he walked away. Death is all around us, guys. You could get in a car accident tomorrow and die. You could get sick tomorrow and die. When you live in fear, when you allow fear to control your life and your thoughts and your emotion, you're not living in the moment, okay? Death is what makes life have meaning. It's what makes life vibrant. Like, you know what the word vibrant means? Like, what if everything was in black and white all over the world? You ever watched an old black and white movie? Yeah. What happens when it turned to color in the middle of Wizard of Oz? It's a big deal, right? So when you live your life that way, you can't worry about living. You can't live if you're worried about the future. okay, or the past. So I want you to think about personal power. Don't ever let fear take away your personal power. That's how a warrior lives. All right, guys, we only got a few minutes left here for Q&A. I'm sure Mr. Spycar's on. I can't see him. But I hope you guys had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, if you expected to be a sword master in 30 minutes, you're not going to. But if you practice and you continue to practice, you might. All right, guys, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed class.
Awesome. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was awesome. And the story at the end, wow, guys, did you like that story? That was really incredible. Thank you, Mr. Molley. That was really fun. Okay,
thank you,
so
guys.
Listen up. Yes, sir. Thank you. We've got some time for questions and answers. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and hold it up. Let me see if I can scan through a bunch of people that we have in the seminar. Raise your hand if you have a question and hold it up. All right, I see Nicholas has a question. Okay, Nicholas, let me see if I can unmute you quickly. All right, so Nicholas, what is your question?
What degree black belt are you again?
Hey, Nicholas. I'm a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo. I'm a 1st degree black belt in Han Mudo. And so I'm a multi-style black belt.
Awesome. All right. Good question, Nicholas. Good question. Anybody else? Please raise your hand. And I see a question from Jonah. Jonah, let me see if I can find you. Okay. Jonah, what's your question?
What's your favorite kick?
Hey, Jonah. My favorite kick? Gosh, there's so many. If I was warmed up, I'd show you, but probably a K kick. Looks like this. I'm not warmed up, but I showed you anyway.
That was a cool kick there, Master Molley. That was awesome. All right, there is Emma has a question. All right, Emma, let me see if I can find you quickly. All right, Emma. Let me unmute you. Okay, Emma, what's your question?
What would you say are some good things or drills that you can do with somebody or on a bag to get better?
Oh, great. Okay. So take your sword, take a bag. If you've got like a padded sword, right? When you do your cuts on a bag, it's just like hitting a person. You see how my sword has some tape right here on it? The last 3 to 6 inches is the part of the blade that you actually want to hit with. If I hit somebody like this, it'll not only break my sword, but it's not going to hurt them. It's not moving very fast, and the sword might get stuck in them. So you want to hit with the last 3 to 6 inches. Practice all your cuts, and it should smoothly go through the bag. So all the drills we just did, spinning strikes, make those cuts where the last 3 to 6 inches hit the bag. That'll give you something to work on. Good question.
That was a great question, Emma. Fantastic question, and thank you, Master Molley, for demonstrating it.
Sure.
All right, listen up, team. Raise your hand if you have a question. Let me see who else has a question. Caitlin, I see you, Caitlin. Let me see if I can quickly unmute you. And then I have Deepak. I see you as well. All right, so Caitlin, there you are. Okay, Caitlin, what's your question?
What is the matrix that he called good for? Like to actually use?
What is it? What's the practicality of it? Like, what can you actually use it for? To show off. to teach a 30-minute seminar and show kids and get them excited about it. It's just a cool move.
Oh, and we definitely like cool moves. Absolutely. It's just like in Taekwondo, right? We have our bread and butter, front kick, side kick, round kick, hook kick. But then we add some coolness to it with jump spins and jump spins.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good question, Caitlin. I liked it a lot. All right, let me see if I can have Deepak. I see you. Let me see if I can unmute you. And there you go, sir. What's your question?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Molley, are there different styles for samurai? That's my first question. And my second question is, when you decide to buy a samurai sword, what do you have to consider? The length with your height? Is there something you need to consider?
Those are two really detailed questions. So the first one was, are there different styles within the samurai? Absolutely, thousands. This was like a family tradition, right? Like the way they drew the sword. Now there's some of the most popular ones that have remained through history, and all the schools of swords have kind of congealed into a few families and styles, right? But within those styles, there's different ways. Just like, is your art Taekwondo, your main art that you study?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know how many Taekwondo organizations there are? A lot,
Yes, sir.
right? And there are people that have their own variations of it. So it's the same thing with the sword. Now, I did mention specifically 2 differences, and I'll give you a minute synopsis of the difference between the Japanese sword and the Korean sword. You ever see those swords that they're curved, right? Like they have a curve to them. That's a Japanese sword. The circle was a big deal in Japanese culture. You would fight on the battlefield and you'd want to continue, you know, and get your 360 peripheral vision like I talked about. When Korean culture, everything is very straightforward. Their swords are straight. So if you ever see those swords like the ninjutsu swords that are straight, a lot of that is influenced from Korean. So their cuts thrust a lot more. When the sword that's curved like this, when you stick this in somebody, it creates, I mean, I know there's kids here, but it creates a wider entry point because it's curved. So it starts from here to there. So when it goes in, it'll come out a lot easier. The Korean sword is straight. So when that sticks in somebody, it doesn't come out. It creates a suction, you can't get out. So they rotate as they do all their thrusts and cuts to open the wound up and get it out like that. So there's differences in the styles in schools. That's just a 1 minute, you know, example of something. Your other question, I forgot what it was. I'm sorry. It was
when you decide to buy a sword, what do you have to consider the length?
Okay, right. There's a lot of things. So the samurai had different lengths of sword. Musashi, one of the best samurai in his day, swordsman, would make swords at different lengths to fight different opponents. So there's no exact science, but there's some pretty standard things. There's a standard length. I forgot what it is, but the katana is like a standard length. I forgot the name for the longer one, and I can't remember the name for the shorter one either, because this is the one that's most popular. But the samurai would always wear 2 swords. It's wakizashi, a short sword and a long sword of different lengths, because this was like their main sword for everything, and then they had this. So if you're looking to buy a sword, the first question I was going to ask is, are you looking for it to put it on your display? Because it really wouldn't matter. If you're looking to actually practice cuts, you're going to want to get a more expensive sword. Those run around $500. Century has a few like that. Maybe talk to Mr. Spycar. He could probably get you something like that. But the length as an adult isn't that important with the sword, because it's going to be pretty standard for a katana.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Deepak, you might want to talk to your instructor.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not sure who your instructor was.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Don't want to take your business from your instructor.
Absolutely.
All right. Next question. I saw we had a student. Oliver has a question. Chance has a question. And then Sean. Sean, you had your hand up for a long time. So let me see if I can unmute Sean first. Everybody else, please be patient. Sean, what's your question?
My question is the name of that kick, Mr. Molley. Whenever the kid asks like what was your favorite kick, what's the name of it?
The name of it, we call it a K kick, because to say obashito is a hard word. That's a Portuguese word for the kick, because it came from capoeira, which is a style of martial arts that's kind of mixed in with dancing. But we call it a K kick, like the letter K, because it makes a letter K.
Okay.
Don't ask me the practicality. You're welcome. There's no practicality. Make kids go, wow.
Good question. All right, I see Chance. Chance, let me see if I can quickly unmute you. There you go. And what's your question, Chance?
My question is if Mr. Molley can do how do you shake the blood off of the sword real quick? Because whenever he does it real fast, like all you see is like a black blur.
Okay. All right. I'll demo that one more time. You're pretty good at it. So this is what you're going to do, Chance. You're going to take your sword. You're going to turn it over like you're doing like you're looking at the inside of your forearm like this, and then you're going to roll it over and do a low block, and that's it. Here to there. I'm doing it slow now. Here to there. That's the motion.
Thank you.
Good question, Chance.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, Oliver, I see you. All right, let me see. There you are, Oliver. Please be patient. Okay, what's your question, Oliver?
What style of sword did you teach us today in the seminar?
A little bit of everything. Mostly Japanese sword.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the question, Oliver, guys. Anybody else? Please raise your hand. And I see Nicholas. Nicholas, all right. What's your question, Nicholas?
Where are you from?
I'm from Louisiana. I'm in Prairieville or Gonzales, Louisiana, which is near Baton Rouge. Got a lot of students from active here too.
All right, good question. Next question, guys. Raise your hand if you have a question. We are nearing the limit that we have allocated for this seminar. I'm scanning left and right. Mr. Molley, if you see somebody raising the hand, please let me know. I don't see anybody.
I don't either. I think we're all good.
All right, so listen up, team. In this case, it will conclude our seminar. And listen up, guys. This was our last seminar in the series because we are starting to be open next week. So Mr. Molley had the last seminar of the season. Yes. So Master Molley, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your time and passion for martial arts with us. We really appreciate you, sir.
Thank you guys for having me. Good luck. Keep training, guys. Next week when you go back to class, you're going to have a blast.
Fantastic. All right, listen up, team. Let's bow out like a black belt. Everybody stand up tall and strong. Hands out. When we say set, you say yes, sir. Use your loud and confident voice. Set.
Yes,
sir. And when we bow, we say yes, I can, to always keep a positive mindset and to have a yes, I can attitude. Bow. Yes, I can. All right, Master Molley, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.